All right. Oh, I learned again how to turn on a mic. You'd think I've never done this before. Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. Did everybody who wants one get a congregational packet? I know they were sitting on the table. Can we, yeah. Thank you for being so helpful. We have so many beautiful helpers in this congregation. All right. It's so good to see your face. Oh, perfect, perfect. Okay, so we're going to get a few more congregational packets. Did we run out? Oh. Yay, okay. Do we have another congregational packet? Where do we need one? All right. Thank you, Marty. I believe that Marty has the agenda. Are we going to kick this off with some prayer? Let's say a quick word of prayer. God, we just thank you so much for this opportunity to come together in love, in support of one another, as we dream about and plan for the future. And we thank you in advance for those people that you have called forward to run for the board. We thank you that they have answered that call, that they're willing to step forward and run. And we thank you again for our treasurer, for Paul Cooley, and for his work on this upcoming budget, for the entire current board of directors, and everyone who continues to make this a home for so many. God, we give you all the thanks and the praise. Amen. Marty?
Can you hear that? All right.
Can I turn this over to you?
So the agenda is pretty simple. We will start out by introducing the candidates and giving them an opportunity to tell you a little bit about themselves. And then after that, we will allow Paul to go ahead and discuss the budget and present it to you. And so this today is about information gathering, so that each of you can, with discernment, think through, are these the right people to serve on the board of directors? Spoiler alert, I think absolutely so. And does the budget look right for helping us move forward in ministries and in the day-to-day operations of this church, while also having a healthy look at what does our future financial status look like? Because we are blessed compared to so many other houses of worship to be in a position where we can think about long-term and short-term. So many are struggling, but because of the folks in this room, all the other members of this church and the congregation, we are blessed with the difficulty of saying, how do we blend long-term with short-term from a financial perspective? And your board of directors are the ones you elect to say, this is the direction we're going to go in, and strategically, how do we execute, while our incredible administration staff looks at tactically, how do we execute? And so this is the opportunity to create the to identify the budget and the folks that will help make that a reality. So with that said, we'd like to transition into bringing forward to you our board of director candidates. As a framing, and we do have some extras, is that Lee? If anybody needs the package, let me know. All right, so for the candidates, we are when we wrote our bylaws, we put in a provision that said each year the board of directors would be composed of 5 to 9 people. The intent was for when times are lean and for when times are thriving. What we believe is that we're right there in the middle. We're in that sweet spot. And so that allows us to hit the sweet spot in terms of number of members of the board of directors. And so the number settled on was 7. You have 4 incumbents, and that meant we had 2 openings to get us to 6 where we were at. But we believe with growth on the horizon, 7 makes sense. So we have 3 openings for this year, and it just so happened we have 3 candidates. And so God has provided. Yes. So,
Yes, please.
one of them is in the room, and you know her because she was our lead for our pastoral search committee, has served 6 years, is that right, Rose? And has been one of those voices that will say yes and to make sure we consider all aspects. And so, Rose, thank
And the fabulous Rose Turner. Thank you.
Amen. Yes, thank you. The other person is not here right now, had a commitment afterwards, but I think almost everyone in here knows him, and that is Steve Fitzgerald. So many ministries that Steve has been involved in. You saw him up here earlier with the choir, even with a solo piece during one of the songs. And the good news for both Steve and Rose and the church is that while they are leaving the board of directors, they are not leaving the church. They want to be a vital part still. So again, we said thank you to Rose. I'm sure he will hear it in some fashion. Let's say thank you to Steve as well.
Thank you, Steve.
And thank you so much for bringing that up. Anything else before we introduce our candidates? All right, then and we're just going to go alphabetically by last name. So, Lynn, over to you.
Thank you. My name is Linda Gay. My friends and family call me Lynn. And that's why when I walked in this church, I said, my name is Lynn, because I knew you were all friends and family to me that I was getting ready to meet. As I got ready for today, I spoke to a dear friend and I said, I don't know what to say. And in her wisdom, she said to me, Lynn, just get up and show us who you are. Maybe tell us 3 things that you are and 1 thing that you are not. So Flo, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Let me tell you about 3 things that I am, that define me. I love the color gray. You're probably saying, okay, good to know. Let me tell you what that means. That means that to me, not everything is as it seems. That means, to me, we have to look more deeply. I like to look at life and at people as if through a prism, and I want to look at every angle and study every aspect. I'm a scientist and I can't help myself. I don't want to be quick to go to judgment. I feel the same way about meeting people. I want to get to know you. I don't want to judge you. I want to love you and meet you where you are. I love the color gray. The second thing about me, I cannot stand social injustice. Here's a problem. I'm an introvert. You probably won't see me at a rally. You probably won't see me making signs. But here's what you can count on. I will not tolerate any injustice around me. I believe that we can walk this world with kindness and with love and with every person that we meet, whether it's in a restaurant, in line at the grocery store, here in our church, we can make a difference. So I hope that by my presence, by my conversations, I stand for justice. And number 3, my language of love is acts of service. I'm kind of ashamed to admit this, but before we came to this church, I looked at my partner and I said, Marcy, whatever we do, we are not volunteering. We're not. I'm exhausted, and I want you to hold me accountable. So for about the first year, I took in all the love that this church has to give. And then it happened. I fell in love with this church. And so slowly, I started volunteering. If you want to know more about the service that I've done, it's in the packet. You can know the nuts and bolts of who I am, my education, my work experience, how I've served other churches, how I hope to show up for you. So, acts of service is my language of love. Those are 3 things that I am. What am I not? I am not tolerant. Probably saying, well, you may not want to tell people that. Tolerant. I am not tolerant. Here's what I mean. I will not tolerate bigotry. I will not tolerate lies. I will not tolerate unkindness. I think we have a responsibility, especially in the walls of these churches, our church, our home, to accept and love and meet people where they are. I will call you out if you step over those lines. And I think as citizens of this congregation, we all have that responsibility. So at this time, I think with my experience, my heart, and my desire, I just feel called to apply to be on your board of directors. Thank you for considering my application.
Thank you.
Well said. All right, and our next applicant, Mo McElroy. Or is it McElroy? Am I butchering your last name?
All grace, all grace. It's McElbrit. So I feel like, well, it's just an honor to be in front of you, to be being able to put myself before you as a board member, and I feel like I'm a natural leader, and it's actually surprising to me that I have not done this yet. But Marty tapped me on the shoulder maybe a month ago, and you know, it's interesting when people ask you to do things, what your first reaction is, you know. And I was like, oh, no. And I said to him, you know, Marty, I'm retiring in June, and that would be a great time for me to do something like that because I'll have a lot of free time. But right now, I got to wrap up my career. And Marty's like, no, it's not. We don't wait till June. Like, it's now. So I prayed about it, and I thought about it, and I said, yes, I am going to do this. And one of the reasons why I decided yes is because, you know, when you're in a leadership role and you feel like if you weren't there, nothing would get done. Have you ever been there where you're like, oh my gosh, if I didn't lead that meeting, it would just fall apart? I mean, and I don't think that's, with humility I say that. I hope it sounds a little bit humble, but you have teams where like they really need to be guided. And the reason I said yes is because there's already a strong foundation of people on this board that I know I'm walking in and things are getting done already. And I don't need to be, that person. So that was one of the reasons that I did say yes. And then finally, last week I preached, and my message was, do something new, try something different. And I didn't know that I was going to run for the board when I was writing that sermon, and then I'm like, oh, that means I got to do it. So, I mean, I literally am practicing what I'm preaching, so.
Thank you, Mo. I'm so glad you preached.
Amen.
What a great outcome for all of us, David.
Hello, church family. Many of you know me. I've been attending this church since 1984. I had a lot of hair back then. It's not the church's fault that I'm losing it. But I was going to run for the board many years back and spoke with Dan, and Dan said, you know, I think you're best to stay in the pews and do what you do. So I did not run. And then I felt called to run, and it's Mo's fault, because Mo's sermon was the answer I needed from God to say, it's your time, David. You need to step up. I'm excited for Allie's coming on board and the future of our church. I think you're pastor number 5 now. I don't know how many choir directors I've been through, but I'm excited for where our church is going to go. I think we've been in a healthy place, but I think we need to be in an outstanding place. And I'm excited for us all to come together. And if we stay focused on God first and foremost, we're going to go places. And I would love to be a part of that.
Thank you, David. I affirm you answering that call. And for each one of you, so glad that you're stepping up and running for the board. Thank you. All right. Is it time for our treasurer? All right. Thank you, Paul Cooley. Everyone, please, when you have a free moment, tell Paul how wonderful he is.
I don't know how I'm going to do this. I've got my computer I want to look at, and I've got this, and holding the microphone. That's a lot. Usually we have a podium up here for this. So, all right. Woo! My debut. Sorry. These are on?
Thank you, Paul. Is that working for you?
Yes.
Let us know if you need something else.
This will work much better. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to look at the budget, which is on the very last page of the packet. And the very first column, you'll see that's the 2025 projected. So this is an estimate of where we will end the year. So bottom line, if you scroll down and look at total operational income, not all the way at the bottom, but just the first dark line, you'll see the number of 396,278. Everybody got that? Okay. So that's where we expect to have our total income at the end of the year. If you move over to the next column, that's the 2025 budget. So that's what we said a year ago we thought we would bring in, 279,618. So we're actually coming in around 16,000, 17,000 better than what we expected. So very good news there. The third column over is our 2026 budget. So what we have there is 385,693. So you'll see it's up about 6,000 higher than 2025 budget, but it's not as high as 2025 projected. The reason for that is a lot of our income is coming from investments, and when there's a good year, we get more income from those investments. And it's hard to predict what's going to happen with that. So we don't get too aggressive in saying, oh yeah, we're going to make as much money as we did last year. We might make more, might make less. It's, you know, the investment, we just never know for sure. Oh, none of it we really know for sure, but we try to be conservative in that. So that's why we haven't gone as high as what we have projected to end this year with. So it's an increase of 1.6%. So if we look through the numbers there, why it changed, so now we're looking at the second from the right column, last column, dollar increase, decrease. You know, at the bottom where it says 6,075. So if we scroll up, we'll see what we're expecting to go up or down. So recurring bequests, we're expecting about 5,700 more. Investment capital gain distribution, 3,300 more. Investment dividend and interest, about 5,000. I won't go through every line, but the larger lines, tithes and offerings, we're projecting to go lower because tithes and offerings actually have been going down, unfortunately. And one-time gifts is going down 1,200. It's not really going away, it's just kind of we're changing how we're reclassifying some of the income, so that number's just going down there. So I just want to point out one thing, and now my computer just went to sleep. Let me wake it back up. I talked too long, apparently. I just want to talk about the difference in the income. So when I started as treasurer, I believe in 2011, so 96% of our income came from tithes and offerings. Last year, it was 61%. So our income from tithes and offerings has gone way down. Fortunately, we have had something to pick that up, and recurring bequest, and those are basically in someone's estate who has passed that has an annual distribution to the church. So those recurring bequests last year was 14% of our income. So it's very important to remember the church and when you do your estate planning, because had these people not thought of the church and planned, we'd really be hurting now. You know, if we've lost 40% of our income, but other things are taking place for that because these people remembered. Sorry, now I'm getting pop-ups that I don't want. Sorry about that. The other part of it that's coming in now is the investment income. Sorry, my computer's doing weird things. So the investment income last year was 20% of our income. So bequests have gone down. I'm sorry, tithes and offerings has gone down, but the bequests and then the investment income from those bequests, because most of the bequests we've taken and we've invested those funds so that we're getting additional income ongoing for that. So that's basically how that works. So it's very important in considering the church and your estate planning. So before I move on from income, any questions on the income? Yes? Go ahead. Oh, the microphone.
I just want to make sure I'm computing correctly in my head. The tithes and offerings going down is, it's significant, but so is the enrollment going down. So a 40% decrease in our membership, I guess, is what that is. And that is what
I wouldn't say we've had that big of a drop in our congregation. Part of it is some of the people we have lost have been very big donors. So donors that contributed significantly, they passed away. That made our income drop quite a bit because they were giving a course every single month or yearly, and we lost that big chunk that they were giving. But fortunately, they also remembered us in their estate. So even though they're gone, they're continuing to support the church with their bequests.
Got it. Thank you for
You're
clarifying.
welcome.
Appreciate it.
We good? All right. Oh, sorry, Mark has a question.
Is one of the reasons that it's going down is because our online viewers don't donate very much?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay, because our online viewers are more than the people who attend.
Right,
every Sunday.
definitely. And, I think that's gone up. If we actually look at, in your congregational packet, the treasurer's report, which is on the other side of the page we're looking at, and if you look at the bottom, there's a section called Donations Going Green. And I've broken it down between electronic, which is Zelle, mostly Zelle, and a little bit of PayPal. And then we have bank bill pay checks. That's people who have gone online and set it up at their bank to send a check each month or week. And then there's personal checks. Those are checks that are mailed to the church or that we get in the congregational basket. You'll see Zelle has gone, last year it was, 2024 it was 47%, 2025 we're at 56%, so it's increased 9%. So those people are contributing, and that I think is why our Zelle is going up so much, because they're doing it electronically. So, yeah.
I have a question. In
I've got a question. I was wondering if there is such a thing as a grants, grantz distribution to the church to help with other church expenses like that?
There is no particular grants that we are receiving at this time or that I'm aware of.
Okay,
There
thank
has
you.
been times where we have gotten grants, like when we did a lot of the security improvements for the church, we did apply for those specific things. But I'm not aware of anything that's going to cover regular ongoing expenses. But we have looked for opportunities when we've done improvements, such as the security stuff that we've gotten grants for. And there's been some other, I can't think of it, but I don't know if any other board
Okay,
members
thank
can
you
think
so
of
much.
what it was. Anyhow, we've done a couple of different grants at times when we have the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
Good question.
Paul is
Thank you so
exactly
much.
right. The majority of the grants that we have exercised in the past have been for specific activities. One of them was for security and safety training. The other one that was relatively recent was also for pastoral care. And it was a grant from Lilly that allowed for the senior pastor to take a time away from the church and the church not have to suffer for that. So they actually paid salary during the time of absence. And so we explore those grants based on specific needs at the time and whether or not there are grants available for that.
Is there a forum that we have here so people can, if they know of grants, they would bring it maybe to the board of directors so we could apply for it?
Yeah, there isn't a particular forum for that, but I mean, yeah, you would just need to reach out to, forum, right? Yeah. Sorry, if I said something different. My mind was thinking forum, but maybe I said something different. Yeah, there's not a particular forum, so yeah, I mean, you would just contact the pastor or the church office, and then that could be brought up to the board of directors, or you can always, anyone's welcome to join the board meetings. If you want to join the board meeting, you can also bring it up during that.
Can I say something quickly? I have experience in professional grant writing, and so if there are people here that have an interest in grants and would get excited about that, we could definitely talk. I would get very excited about it. So, yes.
Paul, how does the raise the roof money that we took in and how much we have negative on that, how is that affecting the budget and where does that all appear?
We haven't gotten to that yet. I will be covering that. But Lee, do you have kind of a recap of the numbers? Do you remember off the top of your head where we're at? I think it was like 54% of the cost we recoup, but now we've got the additional, we had a very recent donation, another donation over the weekend, over the last couple of days, of 30,000, so.
Yeah, actually, we were at 55.8%, and then this week we received a $10,000 donation toward the roof.
Actually, it's up to 30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They sent 3 of them for 10.
Oh.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you,
some of
Paul.
them are just rolling in. So I just saw one of them
Thank
this
you.
morning, so yeah.
Yay. God is good.
So bottom line is that should take us in the neighborhood of about 65% of the end goal. But keeping in mind that this has been a blessing we've received over the last 2 years. And so when we consider where we're receiving our money in terms of whether it was through the raise the roof or tithes and offerings, and how that again plays into where we as a church are heading. So there is a balance, and we have to look at where will we place the emphasis as we go forward.
Thanks, Marty.
Thank you, Marty.
Anything else?
To my knowledge, there's not a fundraising committee any longer.
Correct.
And so where was that fundraising money from, may I ask?
The fundraising that is mainly estimated to come in, and the Make-A-Wish, or what's it called? The December
Yeah.
Christmas wish
Wish
list,
list.
not Make-A-Wish, Christmas wish list. The Christmas wish list, that's what we're putting in there, is our estimated that we'll receive. That's our big fundraiser. There's a little bit of funds that we've gotten in the year, but the main part of it's going to be coming from the Christmas wish list, which we do in December. November, December, Lee? Or December? So, coming soon.
So I just, yeah, so,
Right, like I say, we do have some that's in there, but the total that we expect to get by the end of the year is the 1593, and most of it's going to be coming from the Christmas wish list. That's the big one. That's our biggest fundraiser.
and I will say that as a Board of Directors candidate, I love hearing that question because in terms of what we've been doing, it creates an opportunity to then say, this is something that we want to see some leadership in, and it creates opportunities for folks to say, let's reinvigorate, and that has been a topic of discussion.
Yes, it
And
has.
so-
A recent topic. Yeah.
So glad to hear that, especially from somebody who has an interest in joining the board.
Rose, I see you.
Thank you. I just want to point out that for 2 years, we have heavily promoted the Raise the Roof Fund and asked for so many people to donate to that. And I believe this is a big reason why tithes have dropped. People only have so much money to give, and the cost of the roof was tremendous. And I think while we continue to ask people to support that, now is the time to move on to other fundraising venues.
Thank you, Rose.
Yep.
Anyone else? All right.
Okay, let's move on to the expenses then. So we'll move down to, if you're looking at the left-hand column, the second gray line, which says total operational expenses. So we're projecting $404,000 to end this year total. When we did the budget for 2025, the next column over, we had projected that the expenses would be $409,000. So $4,000 or $5,000 better we're doing, because expenses are money we pay out. So our expenses are coming in less than what we anticipated. So that's a good thing. Primarily that was compensation that was under. Dan, last year, we had budgeted the full year for insurance premiums for the staff, and because Dan went on Medicare, that really dropped down. We still paid for his Medicare premiums, but the Medicare premiums are much cheaper than it is for the regular insurance. So that's a lot of reasons why we had some savings there. So you'll see, if you look at the column, we'd expected to spend $298 in salaries. We spent $287. So yeah, that's $14,000, $15,000 there. So moving over to the next column, which is the 2026 budget, we are estimating $438,927. So that's an increase of $29,126. So expenses, we're expecting increase at 7.1%. And just if we jump real quick up to the income line again, if you look at income, we're expecting income to go up 1.6, but our expenses to go up 7.1. So that's always a struggle there when our expenses are going up faster than our income. But let's look at the black line, the next one underneath, net operating surplus or deficit. So I'm going to start over the 2025 budget. We'd expected that we were going to end the year with a loss of $30,183. What we have projected is a loss of $7,852. I think we'll probably maybe break even because we tend to be conservative when we do this, but I'm hoping that we have some nice surprises at the end of the year and money comes in better than what we had forecasted. Because the way we calculate the rest of the year, since the year's not over yet for this year, is we take the income we've had year-to-date in our expenses, and then a lot of times what we do is we look at what did we get last year, or what did we spend last year, and that's how we come to that number. There's some other factors that may go into play with that. But anyhow, so I'm hoping that we'll end up breaking even, but right now we're kind of looking at a loss of $7,852. Move over to the third column, the 2026 budget. Now we're projecting a loss of $53,234. Part of that increase is because our expenses are going up faster than the income's going up. You know, just like this year though, we had projected a loss of $30,000. This shows we're forecasting a loss of $7,852, a lot better. That's because our investments did better. You know, the same thing could happen next year if the stock market does well. If the stock market does bad, it could be worse because, you know, 40% of our 40% of our income is coming from investments and stuff now. So it's always a big question. So I know it's a scary number, but, you know, I have faith, you know, that, you know, the congregation is going to support this church. They always have. There's been very few years that we've had a deficit at the end of the year since I've been treasurer, and like I said, that's since 2011, and it's always been very small, like $2,000 or something like that. So I know it's a scary number, but I have faith also. So it's actually an increase of $23,000 or an increase of 76% worse than what we were expecting last year. But again, I have faith that we'll do better than that. So any questions in that section?
I just a couple questions on the categories that are going up the most in expenses. Just thought I'd ask, what's maybe the rationale in terms of how that's being determined, just to have a better understanding overall of when you say $53,000 change.
Right.
You
So
know, just something that gives an idea of something helpful on
sure.
those.
So let's look at the numbers here. So we'll look at the last column. So compensation is going up 6.2%. So that goes up to allow raises, plus insurance is going up, et cetera. So, you know, we want to make sure that we properly compensate our staffing. So that's going up 6.2%, or projected. The facilities is what's going up quite a bit, 22.8%. And I believe I addressed some of that in the notes in here, although that's under, what we actually are finding, we're actually finding that the repairs and maintenance on the church, a lot of stuff that we're doing, are running over. So we bumped up the budget for the building maintenance quite a bit. Plus some things we're putting into capital expense, some things we're doing as maintenance. So that's one of the big increases there as far as percentages is 7,150 or 22% increase there. Really those are the two biggest things, is building maintenance and the compensation are the two bigger things that's going up. Does that answer the question?
And for the building maintenance, if you have questions about what's going to be happening, actually in the building report for the congregational report, Jesse does a wonderful job of describing what was done this past year and what is projected for activities next year.
Just one more follow-up
Sure.
item on the income side. I noticed there's a hospitality fund for Script, and it's I think a modest number. I'm offering myself in the coming year to help promote the Script program in ways that I can because I truly believe in it. It's a very simple way to help the church. It's a win-win. It's sometimes a matter of, I know it's been a program here for a long time, but it is something that can truly help without an extra dollar from any person in the congregation. And so years ago, I'd help promote it. I'm putting myself out there to offer that again to see if that can also help bridge gaps that exist here.
Yes,
So,
thank
and with
you.
the holidays coming, I'll put that teaser out there as well.
Thank you. That's fantastic.
And I know Fred Eiler somewhere is just yelling amen. And so thank you.
You just
Yes.
made his day.
Thank you, because I did tell him I would promote that, and I had forgotten to, so thank you very much. And just in case anybody's not aware, I mean, the script program, you buy gift cards, at face value, so it doesn't cost you anything, but yet when those cards are used, the individual vendors return a percentage back to the church. So it's a great way to, as he had stated, it's a great way to create income for the church without having to put anything out of your pocket, except for the gift cards you were already going to buy, Amazon used to have a special Amazon Smile, where if you bought things through there, they would donate a percentage. They discontinued that program a couple of years ago, unfortunately. So yeah, that was over $1,200 a year. I don't remember exactly what the number was, but it was a good chunk of funds.
I don't know if you're all aware, but who shops at Ralph's or Food for Less? Do you know that if you register every time you shop, the church gets money? And it will say at the bottom of your receipt, a donation has gone to Metropolitan Community Church. So every time I shop at Ralph's and use my card, I'm like, yay, God. Money goes to the church. So that's so simple. Everybody, and you have to renew it, I believe, every year. So if you don't renew it, it stops. So that's a simple
David, I
script.
did not know that.
Yeah.
Thank you for educating us.
Yeah,
Thank
you have to make sure that it gets re-registered. But that's a
Just-
simple, easy way to do it.
Just shows that we need to promote it and get information out so that the congregation knows. Because, the script program is an easy way to donate without having to put anything out yourself.
And if you forget that, in Fred's script report in the annual package, there is the comments in there about those two programs being available. So awesome.
All right, let's move on then. So after we figure out our operating, and that's the things that happen, operational is just the stuff that happens every single year, and it's just part of running the church on an ongoing basis. Below that, you'll see other income and expenses, and those things are not part of our normal operations. There may be income, but it's not part of our normal operations or expenses. So the first one is the building capital fund income. So that's for major expenses like the roof, certain things like that. The next line is realized capital gains or losses. So what that is that doesn't happen every year, and that's why if you look towards the right, the numbers are all zero. We don't project anything in the budget for that because it doesn't happen all the time. But what that occurs from is in our investments, they may sell some of our investments that have gone up in value and buy something else to reallocate the funds in our investment to maintain our lower risk tolerance. So that brought in $46,644. The building capital, I'm sorry, I won't go over the numbers yet. I just want to describe these first. And then we have the non-recurring bequests. So that typically is someone passes away and leaves something to the estate. We don't have anything in the budget for that because that's not something that normally happens. That's an exceptional type of thing. And then the two items underneath that are the expenses. So we have building capital expenses, and then we have the Pastor Dan farewell dinner expenses. That's something, again, not part of our normal operations, so we have that. So those are the categories. So we'll look over to the budget, 2025 budget, and you'll see we had $20,000 allocated for building fund income. We had no income allocated for the other categories, but we did much better here. Building fund, when I had done this, we had projected that it would be around $60,000. I wasn't expecting the $30,000 in donations that we received in the last couple of days, so that will probably end up near $90,000. Again, the realized capital gains, I explained what those are. That was $46,000. And then non-recurring bequests was $2,167. And then the building capital expenses was 5259, and the net from Pastor Dan's farewell dinner. So we had the expenses, but then we sold tickets, and then this was the net cost of the church after that. So any questions on that? Okay, let's go ahead and look at the 2026 budget. So 2026, we're budgeting $30,000 for the building capital fund. And then you'll see, we're not expecting any realized gain or loss or non-recurring bequests. Normally, like I say, that's not something we expect to happen. It may, but there's no way to know that may happen. The building capital expenses is $26,000. I cover that in my report there, and I'm sure it's covered in Jesse's too. But that's covering painting of the exterior of the church we plan to do the electrical panel upgrades also. So those are two expenses that are not part of our normal operations. Those are a capital expense outside of there. So that's part of that $26,000 there. So moving on to the third column over. So we're increasing the building fund income $10,000, increasing the building fund capital expense $26,000. So the net effect is $16,000. So we actually are projecting that we'll have a loss there of $4,000 because we're going to bring in 30 and spend 26,000. Sorry, a profit of 24,000. Sorry. Any questions that section? Mark?
Capital fund, income to raise the roof fund?
Correct, yeah. If everybody didn't hear the question, so he was asking if the building capital fund was the same as the raise of that roof, and so yes, it is. Any other questions before we move on? Okay, so now we'll look at the very last line. So the net overall surplus deficit or surplus. So last year we had projected that operationally we would have a loss of $30,000. When we added in the $20,000 income from the building fund, it reduced our loss down to $10,183. This year, when we take the operating loss of $78.52, and then we add in the other income of $96,000, which now will be $126,000 because of the extra 30 that came in since then that wasn't expected. So we expect to end this year bottom line. We have here 88,912, but that would be 118,000, 119,000 rounding up, so 119,000 actually to the positive. So that's good. So great news there. Looking over to the 2026. So again, operationally, we're expecting a loss of $53,234 with net other income of $4,000. That brings that loss down to $49,234. So that's our bottom line where we are, what we are budgeting for next year. But again, yeah, we've always had that, and something always seems to come through. The congregation, gets behind, and if they know we're behind, they bring us up. So, we've got a very good congregation and people that care about the church, and it's important and it's appreciated.
Yeah, and I hear lots of good energy around grants and fundraising and scripts. So thank you for those questions and your offers to help and be a part of that. All right. Thank you, Paul, so much.
Anything else? Thank you.
All right, Marty.
So a couple of things. The first is, when I look out and when I saw who we had here at the beginning of this meeting, that is more than what we actually see at the meetings. The forums, we usually have significantly less. And so that gives me just one more sign of how things are growing and how we are seeing interest raised. not Paul's kind of interest, but the other, but caring about this church. And so everyone here, thank you for taking the time to be present for this, and the wonderful questions and offers for making this a stronger, more beautiful church. And so with that, I'll turn it over to you.
One more, Scott.
Also, I want to thank you. Want to say thank you to the interpreter for donating her time last minute. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. Yes, I know, and I'm also thanking you. Thank you, Scott, and thank you, Carla. And thank you, Marty. And thank you to all of you for showing up, for asking really wonderful questions, for looking at the numbers, for caring about our church, and just for being amazing. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that I'm here. And I'm not going to prolong this since I'm guessing we're all eager to get out of here. So God, let's say a final prayer. God, we thank you. We love you. And we're going to go focused on you and the future. Amen.